Okay, hello to my general mathematics students. Let us continue lesson 3 of our topic 3. We're in the competency we're going to tackle is we're going to find the domain and range of an inverse function and solve problems involving inverse functions. So we are done with this. So we will go directly to graphs of inverse function. Okay, there are steps in graphing inverse functions. The first one is apply the horizontal line test to determine if the given is a one-to-one function or not. Then graph the one-to-one function and then graph its inverse by reflecting the graph about the line y equals x. So for example, number 1, we are going to graph y is equal to the inverse of f of x if the graph of y equals f of x is equal to 2x plus 1 restricted in the domain of the set containing x such that x is less than or equal to 1.5 but greater than or equal to negative 2 is given below. What is the range of the function and what is the domain and range of its inverse? Okay, because the domain is already given here. So, ang pangutana, what is the range of the function? And afterwards, we are going to find the domain and range of each inverse. So, if we are going to graph this one, y equals 2x plus 1, we have this kani, diba? When x is 1, 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. So manang 1, 3 is here. When x is negative 2 times 2 is negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. It's also here. So, mo ni ang original nga f of x, mo na ang graph. But since we are going to limit only to negative 2 to 1.5, so when x is 1.5 here, we have 1.5 times 2 is 3 plus 1 is 4. So that is why mo na ni ang iyang domain is from negative 2 to 1.5. So we are going to draw broken line representing y equals x kani the line nga kanang 1 1 0 0 2 2 3 3 and so on. I-draw na nimo using broken line. And then, iatbang nimo ang imong inverse. Okay, the inverse of the function, the graph of the inverse of the function is just a mirror of the original f of x, reflecting the line x equals y or y equals x. So in this case, the range of the function is, ang imong range of f is from negative 3 to 4, diba? So y is greater than or equal to negative 3 but less than or equal to 4. Okay? So, imo pong i-analyze ang imong domain of the inverse of the function. So, ang iyang domain is set containing x such that x is po niha atong i-clarify niha y such that y is less than or equal to 4 but greater than or equal to negative 3. Ang isang domain sa kuan is x such that x is less than or equal to negative 3 but less than or equal to 4, diba? Negative 3 to 4. Diyan pong range y such that y is range negative 2. Negative 2 less than or equal to negative 2 and 1.5. Okay? So, mabalira. Ang domain sa original nga f of x is the range of the inverse, and then ang range po sa f of x is the domain of the inverse. Okay? Ingon ana ra. Okay, next we are going to find the inverse of f of x equals 1 over x using its given graph. So this is the given graph. So if we are going to put the line y equals x, kaning broken line, so notice that is the given is symmetric with respect to line y equals x. So meaning ang auspicious dere is a reflection of the other, diba? So that means since reflection naman dai siya sa usap-usa, it means that y equals 1 over x, kanang y equals 1 over x is its reflection across the y equals x itself. So therefore, the inverse di of f of x, which is 1 over x, is equal to f of x. Pareha na siya kay reflection na ba ang usa sa other. So pwede na nagsapawan na nimo. Okay. Next number is we are going to find the inverse of f of x equals the cube root of x plus 1. So in this case, if we are going to graph this one, the cube root of x plus 1, for example, when x is 0, y is 1. Kani. When x is 7, ano na ta? Cube root of 8 is 2. Na dire. Still be, ang graph is kanina sa babaw, no? Kana. When x is negative 1, 0. When x is negative 2, negative 1, tumana siya ang graph. So if we are going to plot or graph the line y equals x mo na and then a reflector nimo tapikas-pikas, tumana ni siya ang imong graph. Okay, so imo lang i-graph first ang f of x, then afterwards ang imong kuan inverse. Okay, so using graph raman ta, so graph na itong i-analyze. Okay, next we have considered the rational function f of x is equal to 5x minus 1 all over negative x plus 2, whose graph is shown below. So narang graph diha. So after that, we are going to find the domain and range, then find the equation of its asymptotes, find the graph of its inverse, then find the domain and range of its inverse. So for the first one, from our last topic na lesson, which is all about rational functions, we get the result that the domain of this is, sa may domain of f is the set of all x such that x is in a real number Unsa man, dapat di mo equals just sa positive 2 because it will make the denominator be 0 such that x must not be equal to 2. Okay, what about the range? We have y is equal to 5x plus 1, minus 1. Minus 1 all over negative x plus 2. So exchange x equals 5y minus 1 over negative y plus 2. So by cross multiplication, we have negative xy plus 2x is equal to 5y minus 1. Then negative xy minus 5y equals negative 2x minus 1. Or pwede nig positive xy plus 5y equals 2x plus 1. So, i-take out na to ang common factor nga y. We have x plus 5 equals 2x plus 1. So, y therefore is equal to 2x plus 1 over x plus 5. So, ang imong range here, kaya ito naman po nang ibalik, x equals 2y plus 1 over y plus 5. So, dapat si y must not be equal to negative 5. So, therefore, ang imong range would be y such that y is in a real number such that y must not be equal to negative 5. Okay? So, muna ang range. So, unsa may equation sa atong asymptote? So, ang vertical asymptote na to is x equals 2. Diba? Kay maunay makapahimo nga 0 sa denominator. Ang horizontal asymptote po nato is since equal ang atong exponent sa numerator o denominator, ang highest exponent, ang degree of the numerator and the denominator, so we just simply over 5 over negative 1. So that's why it must be equal to y equals negative 5. So, bisan diri sa drawing, makita na to nga ang imong horizontal asymptote is y equals negative 5. Diba? And then y equals 2 po rin mong vertical asymptote. Okay? Okay, next is ang atong graph sa inverse. So, we have here the line, the broken line nga y equals x. So, that's why we have here kani, mubali ani, reflection ani is this one. And maumani ang atong original. So, diya po dire. And then, ang imo na pong horizontal asymptote here would be the vertical asymptote ganina, which is ang horizontal asymptote kay y may y equals negative 5 man. So, mahimo na sa siyang vertical asymptote sa inverse, which is x equals negative 5. And ang atong horizontal asymptote na po sa atong inverse would be y equals 2. Okay? And the domain, ang domain na po nato is kanina po ang domain sa which is equal to the domain of the inverse. Kani po, mo po ni si J equal sa range of the inverse. Okay, so mabaylo ra. Okay, in the examples above, what will happen if we plot the inverse function of the inverse function? So, kay binali raman ang inverse sa inverse of the inverse function. So, is equal to f of x. So, mabali ra ka nagbali-bali raman. Okay? No? So, maong gyapon. Mabalik ra ka sa kantong original. So, kung mauni ang imong inverse function nga graph, ang inverse na po dani is kanina po original. Okay? So, mabali-bali na. Okay, you ask a friend to think of a non-negative number. Add 2 to the number, then square the number, and then multiply the result by 3 and divide the result by 2. If the result is 54, what is the original number? So construct an inverse function to provide the original number if the result is given. So if we let x be the number, i-add ko no by 2 and then square the number. So meaning quantity x plus 2 squared if x is your number. And then i-multiply na by 3. Unja, i-divide po kuno ang result by 2. And that would give us the value of f of x. Okay? Okay, if we look at the graph, notice that maumaning siya ang graph kay square ba dyan atong y, ang x nag-square, so meaning it's a parabola opening upward. And then kung atong gamitan og horizontal line test, it's not 1-to-1 by the way. If the function is restricted, if the domain x is greater than or equal to 0, then we can say that it's 1-to-1. So kung kanira atong gamiton from 0 to positive infinity, so mahimo sa siyang 1-to-1. But kung ato ni i-consider, it's not 1-to-1. So mauto nga atong butangan dito limit nga y must be, if x must be greater than or equal to 0, so meaning ang y pod must be greater than or equal to 0. So mo to nga from the equation y is equal to 3 quantity x plus 2 squared over 2. So ato na himong x equals 3 times quantity y plus 2 squared over 2. So it becomes 2x is equal to 3 quantity y plus 2 squared. Then dividing both sides by 3, so we can now have 2/3 of x is equal to quantity y plus 2. And then extracting the square root on both sides, so we can now have y plus 2 is equal to the square root of quantity y plus 2 is y plus 2. Since y is greater than 0, no, greater than or equal to 2, we do not need to consider the negative value. So positive ra atong gamiton. Kay dapat man ta ni positive negative man ni dire. So abali. So the square root of 2x over 3, and we take the positive. Okay, so that's why we now have y is equal to 2 plus negative 2 plus the square root of 2x over 3. So that's why we can say that the inverse of f of x is equal to negative 2 plus the square root of 2x over 3. Okay, and since our x is considered as 54 to determine the original number. So f negative 1 of the inverse of 54 is equal to negative 2 plus the square root of 2 times 54 all over 3. Thus, it is the same as negative 2 plus the square root of 108 over 3 minus 2. And 108 over 3 is equal to the square root of 36 minus tampa. Naghan naman yung minus 2. Okay, derang minus 2 dere. So, it gives us an answer of negative 2 plus 6, and negative 2 plus 6 is 4. So, that is why we can say that the original number is 4. Okay? Number 7. Engineers have determined that the maximum force T in tons that a particular bridge can carry is related to the distance d in meters between its supports by the following function. T of d is equal to 12.5 per distance to the third power. How far should the supports be if the bridge is to support 6.5 tons? Construct an inverse function to determine the result. So to lessen the confusion in this case, let us interchange d and t as they denote specific value. Solve instead for d in terms of t. So from T of d is equal to 12.5 over d to the power of 3. So from here, t now is equal to 12.5 over d to the third power. So extracting the cube root, in order to eliminate the cube, so we can now have the cube root of t is equal to 12.5 over d. Okay, by cross multiplication, we can now have the cube root of t is equal to 12.5. Or, i-divide na to ang both sides with cube root of t in order to have d. So, d is equal to 12.5 per cube root of t. Okay? So, the inverse function of the given is b is equal to 12.5 per cube root of t. If we are going to evaluate the function at t equals 6.5, so it should be d of 6.5 is equal to 12.5 over the cube root of 6.5. Okay, if we are going to get the cube root of 6.5, that would be equal to 6.684 or 1 laktaw naman ko oy. 12.5 over the cube root of 6.5 is equal to 1.87 approximately. And if we are going to divide 12.5 over 1.87, it will give us the value of 6.684. So 6.684, that means that is similar to 6.7. Okay, so therefore we can say that the supports should be placed at most 6.7 meters apart. Okay, nasabtan. So did you learn something today in our discussion? So I hope so. So what you are going to do is to answer the assessment provided, and the deadline for that will be on October 25, 2020. Okay, I have something here for you, that a friend is someone who helps you to redefine yourself in a positive way. No, di siya ng friend in a negative way, in a positive way. Mamutambag na to anytime. Just like the inverse of a function, it redefines a function for its proper existence. Abhinav Kumar. Okay, that is all for today. Thank you so much for listening and giving time to watch this video in order for you to learn. Thank you everyone, and God bless. Bye-bye.